the freshest wave of glory to hit the Bahamas.
Yes, it happens to the best of us when you drive luxury. You don't need stress, especially before the repairs start. What you need is a company that is dedicated to satisfaction. Existing for over 20 years, our team of professionals work from sun up to sundown, guaranteeing quality and excellence. No wonder Nassau Garages is Nassau's favorite. So, why wait? Leave your luxury vehicle in good hands.
Hey, it's an amazing day here at Glory 93.9 FM. It's 12:30, so you know exactly what that means. You're tuned in. And of course, always locked and loaded on the shift with yours truly. And y'all know, I'm always willing to bet my bottom dollar that there is nothing like a smooth transition into the midday. Thank you for all those tuned in via Glory 93.9 FM, all those on Facebook, YouTube, and of course, our worldwide listeners. If you are looking for the best in auto parts and repair, look no further. Nassau Garages Limited, the number one auto parts and repair shop in the Bahamas. Listen, customer satisfaction is guaranteed every single time. I want you to give them a call today at 242-341-8643 or visit them online at nassauGaragesLimited.com. You can book your service or even browse through their part selection, right? For bookings and purchases, of course, you can use the promo code from the shift. That is NG Shift. And then you can use that online or in store. They are located on Tonic William Starlin Highway. And of course, you can follow them on all social media platforms. That is Instagram at Nassau Garages or even on Facebook at Nassau Garages 242 for updates and so much more. Like I said, Nassau Garages, a proud sponsor of today's show. Thank you for all those. Hey, Joinae, how you doing? It's been a minute. I miss you guys, and I pray that all is well. Listen, yesterday was such an amazing show, right? Because I got so many messages and DMs about the topic about pivoting, and it really goes to show how much we're really taking in and paying attention. And I don't want you to think that I'm only talking to you. I'm talking to me as well. Sometimes we just need to pivot. Mr. Producer, I feel like I need some more light in the Holy Ghost. Yeah, we'll fix that in a few. But I want to share this with you, right? The Bible says in Matthew 5, and this is the Amplified Bible, right? And this is Matthew 5:13 through 16. You are the salt of the earth, the light. Sorry, this is me just remixing, right? You are the salt of the earth, but if it has lost its taste, how can it be made salty? It is no longer good for anything but to be thrown out and walked on by people. You are the light, and that is the light of Christ, to the world, a city set on a hill that cannot be hidden. Nor does anyone put a light under a lamp or under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Verse 16 says, and this is my favorite part, let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good deeds and moral excellence and recognize and honor and glorify your Father who is in heaven. What am I saying to you today? Today, I am saying you are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. Stop hiding. Now, many persons, they hide for different reasons, right? Maybe it's something, you don't want someone to know, or maybe it's a matter of privacy, or maybe it's just out of straight fare. Maybe it's out of shame and inadequacy. Maybe it's from past trauma or negative experiences. Maybe it is a form of self-protection. Maybe it's, trying to fight against societal norms. Maybe it's about safety and danger. Maybe, and these are all options, right? Maybe it's for or because of a lack of trust. And a lot of times we go into protection mode when God is really trying to get us to be salt and light in the earth. We sort of delude ourselves into thinking that if I hide good enough, if I don't walk in purpose, if I don't ruffle any feathers, then that would mean that I would somehow dodge warfare, dodge fiery darts, dodge attacks, dodge issues. And the truth of the matter is, whether you walk in it or not, whether you accept it or not, there is going to be some attack. There is going to be something that will come against you or maybe challenge you to get you to another level. What am I saying today? If you are supposed to be salt, be that. If you are supposed to be light, be that. You can no longer go throughout your life hiding your true potential, hiding your purpose. You are on that job, you are new there, and no one knows what you can do. You watch persons struggle to do the things that you would do naturally, and that's not fair. Anytime, and I remember having this conversation with Minister Sharika Brown on the show, she said anytime that God places you in, let's say, an assignment or gives you an assignment or in a ministry, it is to deal with a issue. You are the solution to a problem. You are the one there to solve that problem. A lot of times, maybe, and this is just me thinking aloud, right? Could it be that the issues that we're seeing in today's world are not being solved simply because you and I are refusing not to come out of hiding? Could it be that? Could it be that you are crippled by fear, crippled by people's opinion, crippled by, your own personal inadequacies? And I feel that today's show ties right in to this pre-note for you, because a lot of times we are stagnated, we are blocked, we are hindered because we don't want to be attacked. We have that fear of being seen. We have that fear of being noticed, that fear of being on display. A lot of persons, and I know someone who says, man, listen, I just don't want to be the center of attention. I can't take it. I can't take it. I don't want people looking at me. I don't know how you go up there and sing, because I don't want nobody looking at me. But it's not a matter of someone looking at me per se or wanting to be the center of attention, but actually wanting to be a solution to a problem. I have a question for you today. Are you the solution or are you the problem? Because if you're not contributing to the solution, then obviously you're contributing to the problem. Maybe, just maybe, and again, this is just me thinking aloud, right? But maybe you are contributing more to the problem by hiding, not speaking up, not voicing your opinions, and I was watching this. It's always a TikTok, right? But I was watching this TikTok, and in the comment section, that's the best part, right? Forget the video, go straight to the comments. And persons were in the comments. It was just something that happened, right? And the persons were in the comments saying, man, listen, no one asked y'all for your opinion. No one asked y'all for this. And this is going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then someone in the comments said, man, listen, Whether you like it or not, you place this video out here for us to see. People are going to give their opinion. It doesn't mean that you are controlled by it, but it means that you open yourself to criticism. And sometimes you have to just be okay with the fact that, listen, I may be criticized, I may be shunned or rejected or looked at a particular way. I am not going to lose my saltiness. I'm not going to lose my light. I'm not going to hide under a basket. I'm not going to hide because what I present and who I am. The Holy Ghost on the inside of me makes persons uncomfortable. What am I saying to you today? And it is one very simple message. Stop hiding. Stop hiding. It's time out now. The Bible talks about the earth is waiting for the manifestation. If the earth is waiting, it means that there are sons and daughters that are all over the earth that are hidden in places. And I'm not talking about that kind of being hidden where God has you, covered for a season or covered for a time. I'm talking about when God gives you an assignment and you say no. I had to go quiet there because I thought of something he told me to do and I didn't. Holy Ghost. The word comes to the preacher first. But I'm talking about that thing that God has instructed you to do. The solution. You are the solution to that problem, and you are refusing to do it because of fear, because of judgment, because of shame and inadequacy, because you want to protect, quote unquote, protect yourself, because you want to be safe and out of danger. And not only that, maybe the danger that you're thinking about is not a physical danger. A lot of times people do not want to stand up. People do not want to be a light, want to be an example because they watch someone else fail at it. And that's, it can be scary, but your life is not someone else's life. Where someone fell short, you may not necessarily fall short. Or if you see that they fall short in this area and you may be weak in that area, try to trace their steps and make different decisions. Okay. I've said enough. Thank you for tuning in to The Shift, and I'm officially calling for all shifters, whether you are in your car, listening to the radio, maybe on Facebook, maybe you're at your desk, in your cubicle, listening, have your AirPods in, and you are tuned in, locked and loaded on The Shift. I want to say welcome, 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 and we are in for a treat today, right? If you haven't already, you can like and share the show. You can tag persons in the comments. I see Leslie and Gerard, and they are already locked in, and a few others are locked in, but please like and share the show. Tell everyone The Shift is on, and we are going to go straight into today's topic. If you are new here, again, welcome to The Shift. Of course, the call and text lines are open. They're in the caption and on your screen. The call line and in the comment section, the call line is 242-827-2543. And of course, text line is 242-817-2544. Once again, the call line. Now, shifters, y'all know. Y'all got to know the call line by now. 242-827-2543. And the text line, 242-817-2544. Now, today's topic, if you missed yesterday, first of all, yesterday we were talking about, knowing when to pivot, right? Really considering, am I a failure or do I just need to re-strategize? And we discussed that yesterday. So if you want to catch yesterday's show, I invite you, go to my Facebook page or Glory FM's Facebook page, and you can catch yesterday's show. Now, today's topic is the power of sharing your story. From struggle to strength to triumph. And I'm going to say that again. The power of sharing your story. The word tells us we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, sharing our story. So the power of sharing your story from struggle to strength to triumph. Many successful persons, if you have that conversation with them, or you listen to a podcast, or you watch a YouTube video, or you just read a book, or maybe something in the newspaper, something on social media, they would always have similar stories. Now, they would say things like, I was extremely poor. I, didn't really come up from nothing much. My parents did not have money. I struggled to go to school. I did not graduate school. I did not go to college. And all of these things, and they talk about their struggle and their difficulty before they got to that place of breakthrough. They talk about, the ups and downs in their lives, and usually it's financial, usually it's a family situation. Maybe the father's not in the home, maybe the mother is not in the home, or both, right? And they're raised by maybe a grandparent, maybe raised by a sibling, and they have this story of the struggle. Anytime that you make up in your mind to tell your story, you are literally putting yourself in a vulnerable position. You are opening yourself, like we mentioned earlier, you're opening yourself for critique. You're opening yourself for people to criticize and maybe even judge your story, judge your upbringing, right? And of course, anytime that you talk about your story, you talk about the things that you've been through, it can also be a strength to someone. And that is the reason why we tell our stories. That is the reason why, especially in the church arena, we say things like testify. We want to get up in front of the church and we do testimony service or a testimony segment where we talk about the goodness of God and all that He's done. See the head? And all that He's done and all of these things, right? But most successful people are, or anytime someone walks into a great victory, they would tell you that they were in the most difficult time before that breakthrough. Anytime someone just started or their business just, blew up, right? And they would say, listen, we were on the verge of going bankrupt. We were on the verge of closing down. Anytime, and you can attest to it, anytime that you feel that you are on the edge, my God, you are on the edge of throwing in the towel. God, listen, I have all these other solutions. I have, I could call Joe Blow. I could call this one. I could call that one. I could make certain moves, and I can do things that I know that are not according to your will. But right in the nick of time, somehow, some way, God always intervenes, right? Today's topic is the power of sharing your story. We start in the part of the story about the struggle. Now, of course, it wouldn't be the shift if I didn't have a definition, right? So the struggle in this context is to experience difficulty and make a very great effort in order to do something, or a very great effort to not do something. You are struggling. That's what a struggle is. Many, and this is something that I have learned over time, many persons, and they are walking around, they are in your home, they are on your job, they are your best friends, they are your pastors, your leaders, your teachers, your therapists. Most persons are struggling with the imposter syndrome, right? Many persons, many of you that are listening today, you are in rooms and you're trying to justify why you are there, why you have this position, why you got this promotion, how you got on this platform, why you have this level of influence. And not what is so dangerous about this right here is because when you are trying to justify why you are there, it makes the reason for you being there to no effect. So while you are so consumed about, okay, do I really belong in this room? Do I really belong on this platform? Do I really deserve to rub shoulders with this level or this caliber of people? It causes you to, quote unquote, abort the whole mission, right? It causes you to not focus on the real reason that you are in that room. When you realize, and maybe it's just me, but when you realize that you are, and please hear me in the Holy Ghost, when you realize that you are the main thing, be the main thing. I remember while preparing for my live recording, right, my producer was talking about the whole project, right, and I just wanted all of these extra things. I just wanted, Of course, I'm just a girl, right? So I just want this and I want that and I want this and I want that and I want to do this and I want to do that. And he simply said, and I will never forget it, right? And I didn't really fully understand it then, but I do understand it now. He said, Joinae, listen, make the main thing the main thing. And sometimes we struggle with the main thing being the main thing because it requires us to show up in full capacity. It requires us to show up, not the scared version, not the timid version, not the one abandoning the assignment, not the one running away from the call, but flat-footed, walking in the call, walking in the assignment, taking on the mantle or taking on the gifting that God has rest upon you and walking in that full throttle. Sometimes we are trying to justify or punk ourselves out of being the main thing. When I say the main thing, I'm not talking about being the spectacle or being the center of attention in an arrogant way. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about there being a need in the earth for you. There being a need in the earth for me, a solution, a problem in the earth, and you are the solution. I'm talking about when that problem arises, when you are to show up in full capacity as a solution, you are questioning or trying to justify why you are in this position. And it's a dangerous game to play. I remember talking with someone, and we were talking about, I think there's a video or like a documentary about Michael Jackson talking about, listen, he would hear songs, and the minute he get it out of his sleep, he runs to the studio he ran to the studio so that Prince wouldn't get it. And it was so funny to hear, because when you and I don't take what God has placed on the inside of us, he will give it to someone else. See, we don't like to hear that. We don't want to hear that. The thing that God has placed on the inside of you, that book, that song, maybe that organization, maybe that movement, the thing that God has placed on the inside of you that you are dragging your feet or procrastinating on, he will give that vision to someone else. Then suddenly you would, let's say you were thinking about, let's use a song, right? So using Michael Jackson and Prince. Let's say God gave you this song and gave you all the words, and then you drag your feet for 9 months. And on the 10th month, right, and within this 9 months, God was nagging you. You got that feeling. You got all the confirmations. You started to do certain things, but you really wasn't doing nothing like that. And then on the 10th month, someone comes out with the same song under the same theme, and you think, oh my God, I had this song, I had this, or I had this book idea, or I had this event idea, but you're not acknowledging the fact that I got this. I was prompted to move. I knew that I needed to move. I knew that it was the right time. I knew that it was the right season. But you wanted to justify your fear. You wanted to justify your inadequacies. You wanted to figure out, okay, why would God give me something like this? Why would he not? You are the solution to the problem in the earth. Who would be a better person than you? And sometimes, and I call it a level of delusion, but it's healthy, right? But sometimes you have to get very audacious. You have to take on this mentality, listen, not in an arrogant way, but take on the mentality to say, man, listen, I am the right person for the job. There is no one in this room that can do this the way I do this. There is no one in this company, in this organization, in this world that can do this the way I can do it, because I am unique, and the way that I will do this will not be like how someone else does it. A lot of times, you're constantly waiting on someone to pick you. You want someone to affirm you. You want someone to tell you, man, listen, go ahead. You want to hear, listen, you can do this. You want somebody to cheer you on. You want the pom-poms. You want the cheerleaders. You want the whole football team. Say, man, listen, go. Go. You want the whole basket. Yeah, make that shot when it is already on the inside of you. When you become a pick me, and y'all know we've heard it in culture, right? When you become a pick me, you become unstable. Because if you are only waiting to move, wanting to move, know how to walk in purpose, when someone selects you, and I'm talking about a man or a woman selects you, you will always fall short. You will always be behind the eight ball. You will always feel inadequate. You will always feel like you're not maximizing or living up to your potential. I started to watch this YouTube video, right? And there is this amazing producer. His name is Packer, right? He produced Stomp the Yard. I can't remember all the movie Girls Trip, a lot of the number one movies, right? And he's talking and he's saying, listen, there are 3 stages to any movie. Any producer would tell you, right? When you are a producer, you are basically bringing everything together to make a big picture. This is how he described it, right? So he's talking and he says, listen, every good movie has three stages, right? Or 3 acts. They call it acts, right? The first act is the thing that pulls you in. It's the thing that makes you want to go and watch the movie. So that can be, your favorite actor. That can be maybe if it's a horror, action, comedy, that kind of a documentary kind of movie, whatever it is. That first act is the thing that pulls you in, right? The second act is where you become invested in, let's say, the character or the theme of the movie. So you want to know more about these characters. You want to understand, right? And then he said the third act is the punch, punch, so to speak. And it's the high part of the movie. It is the exciting part of the movie. And he likened it to our lives, right? He used an example as a boring movie. Let's say you interested in this movie because you saw your favorite actor or actress on the cover, right? And when you get into the movie starts off slow. The movie starts off like, okay, I already paid my money to be here, so let me just see how this goes. And then as time progresses, you get more invested in the story. You get more invested in the character. And then by the end of the movie, you're saying, I understand why they started off so slow. I understand why this happened in the beginning. Oh, I remember this. I remember they said this, and now it makes sense in the end. In the same way, your life can go. When you are someone who has a story, who is an inspiration, maybe the first part of the act, the first part of your journey is the part that pulls people in. It is the part that gets you favor. It is the part that people start to recognize you. Then the second act is when they become more invested in who you are at the core. The tricky thing about this is if you're creating this movie, if your life is going to be this movie, you have to be just as invested as your audience. It makes no sense for your audience to be sold out on your character and you not know who you are. It makes no sense for your audience or the person watching to be so fully invested in this character and their personality. Think about it. How many of you can listen and say, something, Joinae? When I started this company, this very thing intrigued them about me. When I started this company, I know that I could bring another level. I know I could bring a shift. I know I could do this. I know I could do that. And then by the time as the second act, because things started to get a little slow, because things started to have some delay, you are no longer invested in the second act because you've already given up on the first. And a lot of time, and I'm going somewhere with this is where we get stuck in the struggle. This is where we get stuck in, okay, I know that I'm called to this, and I know that I can do this, and I know that I can do that, but I don't really know if I could. And he described this, and he said, listen, sometimes we rush our struggle. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about, in a negative way, but I'm talking about we rush the humble beginnings. We want to be in one place today and on level 210 the next day. We want to hurry to the triumph when the truth of the matter is the triumph, or I want to say this correctly, like, that feeling of victory or that feeling of triumph comes from the journey. So if I give you $1,000, right? Just throwing numbers out there. If I give you $1,000 and you didn't have to work for it, it's like, oh my God, okay, thank you for giving me $1,000, right? But if you work for that 1,000 and you thought about how many times you wanted to give up, you think about how many times you wanted to throw in the towel, how many times you say, something this is not worth it. Then when you get that 1,000, it makes having that like worth the while, right? He says a lot of times we are rushing to get to something without taking ourselves seriously first. Okay, let me give you an example. He gave this example. He said that he was in college, right? And of course, wanting to be a filmmaker. And he did this, I guess he called it like a miniature movie, a very tiny movie. In this tiny movie, he said, well, first, he really had a budget, let's say, of $100,000, right? I'm going to need $100,000 or $750,000, how much ever, to produce this movie, to get this movie to what I want it to be. And he said one day he just, played a trick on his mind. And he said, listen, I'm going to set a date. I don't know where this money's coming from. I'm going to set a date, and I am going to do this movie no matter what. He said he set a date, and the date was 3 months later. In 3 months, he came up with $75,000 in comparison to the 100,000. All right. Right? And he said he did everything that he could with that 75. He made it work. He used students from his school. He used persons that he knew, cut costs in different areas, and he was able to come up with this film, etc. He said he went around his entire school, right, college where he was at, and he said, listen, I have this movie. I want to share it with you guys. Please, if you want to watch this movie, the only way you can get in is if you wear formal clothing. He said when he decided to take himself seriously was when he had the greatest impact. I tell you, I'm going somewhere with this because when you and I would take the power of our story, the power of the level of growth, the stages that you have gone through thus far in life, and you turn from struggle and you gain that strength and you move on into triumph. Okay. I saw a post on Facebook, and this post was by Dottie Reynolds, right? And she is referencing the story of Jonah. She says, you can't outrun your assignment. Jonah tried. He booked a ship in the opposite direction and thought he could dodge what was being asked of him. I want to ask you a question today, and maybe you can type in the comment section. Don't forget the call and text lines are open. They're in the caption on your screen and in the comment section. For those listening, the call line is 242-827-2543 and the text line is 242-817-2544. And of course, I want to take a moment to shout out the sponsor of today's show, and that is Nassau Garages, located right on Tonic Williams Darling Highway. They are number one in auto parts and repair. You can give them a call today, and I want to give you that number. You can give them a call today at 242-341-8643. And of course, if you are a faithful shifter, you can say, or whether you're purchasing a part offline or in store, NG Shift as a promo code. Okay, let's get back into today's show. So she starts off, she says, listen, you can't run from your assignment. You cannot dodge it. Jonah booked a ship in the opposite direction, right? And he thought that he could dodge from what was being asked of him. The first reflex that we just go into when we hear something that makes us afraid is flight, right? When the responsibility feels bigger than your capacity, you look for an escape. When escape isn't enough, right? This is Dottie talking. You then freeze. And she says this is what the whale represented in Jonah's story. It paralyzed him, right? He was stuck in holding a pattern, not moving forward, not going backward, but just suspended until he faces what he'd been running from. The whale swallows us up in real life too, when we don't want to take on, or we don't want to walk in, or we don't want to share our story from struggle to strength to triumph. A lot of times there are persons, and whether you guys, confirm or not, your story is necessary. What you carry is necessary. What you have to bring in the earth is necessary. Your voice, your wisdom, your insight, all of that knowledge that you, all of that experience that you have went through is necessary for, or as the solution in the earth for the problem. You want to procrastinate, and you want to procrastinate, and I literally just had this conversation with someone right before today's show, and we were talking about them feeling this impression to do a particular thing and to go a particular place, but they're constantly procrastinating. Why? Because of that same fear of being seen. Because I want to run away from the assignment. I want to run away from this thing that seems so much bigger than me. How many times you got this or had this dream, right? Or had this vision to do something, and you say, something? Great God, this is bigger than me. I don't know. I don't have the resources. I don't have the connections. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the intelligence. I cannot do this. But Jonah's story, and if you don't know it, long story short, God told Jonah to go somewhere. He was like, it's a big NO for me, God. And then he goes on the ship. Then the ship has a bunch of issues, and they figure out, okay, well, this dude ain't supposed to be here. They throw him off of the ship. A whale swallows him, and he spends 3 days there, spit up, back in the direction where he was supposed to be. Long story short, that is the story, right? So how many of you are currently in a whale because you're refusing to move forward? Because you want to run away from the assignment? And I really like when it's quiet like this, because it really lets me know that you're listening, right? But what is it that you're running from? Which version of yourself you're running from? Knowing that there is more, knowing that you have a greater capacity for more, but you're just refusing to move to. Struggling with God's call can involve confusion about its meaning, doubt, feeling unqualified, or resistance to its demands. But the process is deep and similar to, the story of Jacob, where he wrestled with God, right? And it is a common experience that many persons go through concerning their call. And today I really wanted to highlight this topic because it's really going to make sense with tomorrow's show, right? The power of sharing your story from struggle to strength to triumph. If you stick in the struggle, if you stick in the strength, how can you ever get to the place of triumph? When you don't discern your call, when you don't understand the fullness of who you are and what you are called to, you will always want to hide. You will always not want to have impact or have influence. There are people listening today, and I want you to really get this. There are people listening today struggling with their call. Not only that, let's say you may have accepted the call, but somewhere down the line, you got wounded, you got distracted, you got discouraged. And let's just pause right there for a moment. Distractions, broken focus will cost you. I remember please don't judge me. I remember having this conversation with myself. And I said, listen, you are distracted. You're not focused. You all of these unnecessary thoughts, all of these things that you want to get done. Like, okay, when you have like a lot of things to do and then you just do none of them? Is it just me? A ton of things to do. It has to be done, and there is a deadline actually. Lord, deliverance, set me free. And you just can't get it done. And it is because your mind is so filled with distractions. The thought of starting becomes exhausting. Or we prioritize wrong. We want to go to the easiest thing on the list, feeling like, okay, well, if I have 5 things to do, if I get the easiest thing done first, then I'm just going to breeze through the rest. But no, if you start with the hard thing, or if you start with the easy thing, then by the time as you get to the hard thing, it's going to be like, I've already worked enough for today. I've already used enough strength for today. And it can cause you be distracted, and it can cause you lose focus of your actual assignment. How many times have you just say, something? I'm tired. Or it can be worldly distractions where you can focus on worldly desires that prevent you from hearing or responding to God's call. Saying, man, listen, I need my freedom. I want to go when I want to go. I want to do what I want to do. I want to be who I want to be. I want to wear what I want to wear. I want to say what I want to say. And all of these things become distractions to your call. Like when you really start to lock in and do your homework, how the phone just start ringing. Or you really make up in your mind, okay, I'm going to start writing, the introduction for my book. And then Facebook notification pops up. Or like how, or maybe the moment that you start reading that book or reading that scripture that, you were supposed to read from a long time ago, you suddenly get sleepy. All of these things are distractions. And if you don't curb the distractions, you will never be able to discern the call. If you don't discern the call, you can't get rid of the doubt and the fear and the inadequacies. If you don't do that, then you can't build up resistance. Today, I want you to know that your story, it needs to be heard. What you carry, who you are, what you bring to to the table matters, but it won't ever come to the light if you are constantly hiding, if you're constantly backing back, if you're constantly just saying, okay, you know, let's say you're on a line and the line was long, right? But you're not really ready to go to the cashier yet. You let people jump the line or jump in front. Well, you could go. I'm not ready yet. You could go. I'm not ready yet. You could go. And this is what you're doing with your call. This is what you're doing with your assignment. It's tricky. It's tricky because you should be a lot further than this. Let me read Dottie's post. Let me read it one more time. You cannot outrun your assignment. Jonah tried. He booked the ship in the opposite direction and thought he could dodge what was being asked of him. That's the first reflex, flight. When responsibility feels bigger than your capacity, you look for an escape. When escape isn't enough, then you freeze. She says, that's what the whale represents. Jonah, paralyzed, stuck in a holding pattern, not moving forward, not going back, just suspended until he faces what he had been running from. The whale shows up in real life. You avoid the project, delay the decision, stay busy with anything but the thing that actually matters. It feels like procrastination, but underneath it is the same survival loop. You run until you can't. You freeze until you're forced to act. This is why, and this is the part I love, she said, this is why assignments feel heavy. That assignment for your business, that assignment maybe in your marriage, that assignment maybe on your job, maybe you're opening a company or trying to rebrand or revamp a company. These assignments are just maybe tasks that you have to get done. You want to release the music, you want to write the book, you want to make the movie, you want to write the stage play, you want to do all of these things, but the assignment feels heavy because you are stuck in what you think is procrastination, but underneath is a survival loop where you're not going forward, you're not going backward, but you're just suspended until time runs up. She says, this is why assignments feel heavy. They demand exposure. Once you step into them, people see you and criticism finds you. They cost you comfort. You don't get to blend in anymore. Why? Because your light attracts the well-wishers and the naysayers. I talked about this. Salt and light. Your light. And see, we don't get to say or choose who our light attracts. She says, your light attracts the well-wishers and naysayers. Either way, they force transformation. Saying yes means you can't be who you were before the change. The problem is running doesn't make the call of the assignment quiet, and freezing doesn't make it disappear. However long you hide from the assignment, the heavier it gets until you're not just avoiding the work, you're avoiding yourself. She says, Jonah's story is a reminder that there is no outrunning your assignment. Whether it's 3 days or 3 years, you're going to have to face it. And when you face it, when you get out of that place of a struggle, not wanting to do, not wanting to be, wanting to go in the opposite direction, when you get out of that struggle, then you can find strength. The Bible talks about that Jesus told Peter, he says, listen, when you are converted, go strengthen your brother. When strength comes to you, about accepting your call, tell your story. Strengthen someone else. And then we can all gather together to a place of triumph, where we can say, man, listen, started from the bottom, now we're here. We cannot walk in that if we're constantly battling our own thoughts, the things that we don't want people to see, the things that we feel like people are going to judge. And I am just sent on an assignment for you today. There is power in your story. When you tell your story, when you have that message from the struggle to strength to triumph, there's no more running from the call. And there are some people, you may be listening and you say, I mean, if someone asks me, I don't mind telling my story, but I'm not just going to go volunteer. How will we know? What if we don't know to ask you about that? Today, if there is anything that I want you to remember from today's show, is that there is power in sharing your story. We overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Wherever you are today, whoever you are today, tell someone how you move from a place of struggle. And I'm not talking about physical means, not only that, but actually struggling with the position that you are in now, struggling with the assignment. We hear it all the time, right? And just, again, it's always TikTok. I just watched this TikTok video. I really don't want to get his name wrong. The pastor in the States that really pushes very hard. Black guy. His church name is a bunch of numbers, like 29 something, 28 something, right? And there was a video of him talking about, he said, I never wanted to be a pastor. I never wanted to do this. He says, as a matter of fact, I ran away from this call. Few years. What am I saying? It all boils down to your yes. Someone is waiting on you. Someone is waiting on your voice. Someone is waiting on your testimony. And you have to walk into that. Know that what you carry, who you are, what you're about to do is so important that it can affect and not only that, it can inspire someone else who may be struggling with accepting their call as well. Today, our time has come and gone, but I promise you, it's not because we're out of information or conversation. Just time has ran up on us, but it's not your only opportunity to have this conversation or to gain some insight. Every Monday through Friday, same time, same place, favorite station, favorite person. I want to close today's show by reminding you to check out our sponsor, the official sponsor of The Shift, Nassau Garages. You can give them a call today at 242-341-8643. And of course, you can visit them online at NassauGaragesLimited.com. Book your service or browse their website for your part selection. For bookings and purchases, you can use the promo code NGShift, and that's online or in store. Until next time, I want you to keep it locked and loaded and watch this video by Nassau Garages. Enjoy your day.
Yes, it happens to the best of us when you drive luxury. You don't need stress, especially before the repairs start. What you need is a company that is dedicated to satisfaction. Existing for over 20 years, our team of professionals work from sun up to sundown, guaranteeing quality and excellence. No wonder Nassau Garages is Nassau's favorite. So, why wait? Leave your luxury vehicle in good hands.